Podcast starts now. What is up, everyone around the globe? You are listening to the internationally beloved podcast, StraightioLab.
Bumping that. I need to say something.
Okay, go.
I don't know how I'm going to even articulate this. Something is happening to my brain and something is happening to my spirit. I'm like the dumbest I've ever been.
I don't know.
The combination
I've seen you tweet about this. I've seen you talk about this. You're working out a lot. You're going meathead mode.
It's
you're
not even
to Charlie XCX exclusively.
Yes, exactly. That's what I mean. It's like I actually think there's been this combination of Brat coming out, Biden performing poorly in the debate. Which we can't talk about because there's going to be new news since this comes out. So that's the only thing I'll say. There's a sort of manic way I'm like going back and forth between half reading the news and listening to 365 Polygo. Mm-hmm. During Pride weekend, I felt for the first time since I was maybe 22, I really was like, Pride is everything to me. Everyone in this subway car is my family. I was out until 6 a.m. And then after we got out of the club, I swear to God, in the middle of the street at 6 a.m., we learned the Charlie Apple TikTok dance and filmed it on the street.
You, George Civeris,
I did that
this
with Charlie Bardet.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, something is going on and I'm worried. I think, at my best, I'm like, you know what? This is what happens to me in the summer. My brain goes out the window. People talk about brain worms and people talk about like killing your brain cells. There's a way you can do that actually with your consent. You can voluntarily euthanize your brain cells just for a couple of months and then you're back to school in September. And I'm hoping that's what will happen to me, but I am worried.
I mean, that is what summer is for being stupid. And I honestly think this is going to be people right now, pardon my French, are getting rock hard at hearing that you are, the formerly smart George Civeris is now a stupid meathead. They're going to be dripping out of every orifice when they hear that. I
mean, I'm telling you, like, I can't even talk. I was literally like shirt off, circuit party until 6 a.m. I was in the backyard I was in a group of other 30-something gay men. Picture this, okay? All of us talking about how, we feel so much better in our 30s. And actually we feel more confident now. And actually I've never felt hotter than I do now in my 30s. And in my 20s I was insecure, but now I feel so much better. And I was like, if you zoom out and look at this, we all deserve to be shot.
No, I actually think that's a genius and the only correct take. I think I even think I'm excited for when I'm in my 40s and I say the exact same thing.
Totally.
I'm excited to never remember that I said that before.
Yes.
Like, I'm excited to be like, this is the best decade of my fucking life. Mm-hmm. And have that always be what I say and it never mean anything, but you still say it.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I was thinking that, I don't know, one of the great parts of being gay really is that you can like decide what age you are at any given time. And I think I decided when I was 25 that I was 40. And now that I'm turning 33, I've decided I'm pretty much 27.
I mean, I think that's so beautiful.
Who knows what's going to happen when I'm 40?
God, I wish I could relate.
Let alone 50.
I'm in the opposite right now.
Well,
I'm like, I was literally celebrating family values while you were celebrating Pride and partying all night.
And I think a part of it is that I'm starting a new job next week and I'm getting married in the fall. And so I think those two very adult things are making me be like, made this Pride seem like, well, I'm only in my 20s once. But wait, I want to hear more. I know you are are like office job, husband, 2 kids.
Yeah. I'm going to work. And so during Pride, I was visiting my parents.
Okay.
In Michigan.
Wow. Sorry, I just needed to let that sink in for a second.
Well, because it was one of those things where it's like, well, do we even do Pride anymore? And apparently the answer is yes. Apparently it's, euphoric and everyone can be 27 again. I was told, last time I was told, we didn't celebrate Pride anymore. And we actually went to our parents' house in Michigan and sort of reflected.
I just want to say the theme of this, I'll call it a season of the podcast, is really oh, how the tables have turned.
The theme is really oh, how the tables have turned.
It's actually crazy. We're switching roles.
It's actually crazy, and I don't know if I'm comfortable with it,
Really?
I feel like, the pressure of being the responsible one is too much for me. It's not a place where I feel comfortable. I mean, I'll do my best, of course. We have to.
I actually think you're doing a really good job.
Well, thank you. Yeah, but I've also sort of we recently had an episode where we talked about the trends of summer.
Yes.
And I said that the weather of summer is partly cloudy. I said that the sport of summer is track and field. And one of our listeners responded, partly cloudy, return to land. Are you guys depressed?
Yes, I believe it was Mora.
Yeah.
Iconic Discordista Mora. Who always has the courage and the fortitude to call us in whenever she doesn't like something we say. Which is often.
And I will say that when she said that, I was sort of like, damn, maybe you have a point.
I agree.
There's something about this era where I've like really put my expectations low. And I'm sort of like, you know what? It's not going to be that fun for the foreseeable future, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Our guest is looking at us with
our guest is doing the kind of facial reactions you can only get in, the audition room for Abbott Elementary.
Well, and so I've been feeling a little bit like I need to check in with that, but not yet.
Okay, well, shall we bring in our guest and then she can help us decide how far gone we are?
Yes, but also I want to say one more thing.
Okay.
Wait, have I talked about running late yet?
No.
I was running late this morning, and I wanted to talk about one thing because this podcast is, it started out as a podcast about podcasting, then it turned into a podcast about straight culture, and now it's a podcast about the differences between New York and LA.
Of course.
And I want to say that one thing that I've realized is running late in New York is so chic.
Oh my God,
and you
Sam.
get to really be like sprinting down the street, and you get to like be like sweating and being like, oh my God, I'm crazy. And you're like splashing into a puddle and you're Carrie Bradshaw. When you are late in LA, you're like, I guess I'm speeding.
Yeah. Or just like sitting in traffic and not moving and just like being stressed.
It's so weird to be running late and in a car. And it like is one of the most insane things, and you just can't do anything about it. You can just be like, I guess I'm just like I'm essentially like driving a boat to school. It doesn't make any sense. And that was what I was thinking about this morning.
Okay,
and
cool.
so I thought I would say it.
Well,
George, you hate that.
I mean,
George, you can't engage with that at all.
I don't. No, I'm sorry. I'm trying.
You refuse to engage with that.
No, I do think maybe car is the default, and it's New York that's different.
Huh.
I do think
I just think you're not
No?
taking in a lot of the globe that actually depends on public transportation.
I mean, I guess that's true.
I think you're forgetting about maybe your home land of Europe, in which the train is extremely popular.
Oh, the train is so popular.
I think you're forgetting about Tokyo.
Okay. What people can't see is Mo is actually directing Sam, and behind the scenes is sort of. All right, this can't be video oldie. All right, we need to bring in Mo.
Okay. Without further ado, please welcome to the podcast, Mo Fry Pasic.
Oh my God, this is like the breath of air. It's so crazy. It's like I've been underwater holding my breath, and I'm here.
Wait, Mo, before we forget,
So many things.
I know. We
are
do need to
horrible
promote
at our job of podcasting.
I know, and this was we sort of scheduled this episode last minute, and so I don't have my 5-page briefing document that I usually get from my aides.
Wait, I'm opening with what I'm promoting?
Yeah, you're literally.
Is that
opening
okay?
with it.
Okay.
And then we're going to be normal about it.
And then
Okay,
we'll be
we're gonna be
normal.
normal.
But I just
then
want people, if people decide to like turn this off, I want them to have first heard what you're promoting.
Which they often do.
Often do,
Did they really
especially
get
Mo.
We
this
have no
far?
idea.
They get 9 minutes in. They're like, no.
They're like, enough banter for today.
Like, what the hell? Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm looking down the barrel of the cam. What the viewers can go listen to is on this very day. I found out this morning my podcast trailer's dropping.
What?
Yes, and it is a podcast born of my play that I'm taking to the Fringe Festival, and I will be interviewing Fringe artists and friends and comedians about the process, about making the art that they make, about the sort of minutia that I think when people make a product and the art that they make, I think one, it's interesting why, and two, we tend to only talk about the things that worked, and I like to talk about the things that just got them there that maybe seem superfluous or not worth a conversation, like a beautiful evening you had with a partner that inspired you the next day, like those sort of moments that are all a part of the process. And so I'm going to be talking with people about that on my podcast, so please come.
When does it come out?
On July 16th is the day the podcast drops. I hope. I think the trailer or the podcast drops. But
Whoa.
and I'm very excited. And
then your show is also happening.
So it is my show. It is inspired by my play. It is the themes of my play that the podcast are covering, sort of. And the play is about, I guess, the way sometimes when we want to connect with people deeply, we can only really be seen by transactional moments or passerbyers, because the people closest to us we can push away by even trauma dumping, by giving too much, by not wanting to be seen. And so these sort of sliding door moments that save our lives with people that we might not even have a relationship beyond a single hello passing in the street. And so it's about a woman sort of understanding that about herself as she's trying to obsessively heal and find all the ways to be better, get better. And turns out maybe just being really present for a moment is more healing than 100 hours of therapy.
You don't have to tell us twice.
Honey, don't threaten me with a good time.
Footage not found in our case. Being present.
And it's going to be at Edinburgh Fringe.
It's going to be at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and I'm excited to go to Scotland.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I hope Crazy Lady doesn't stalk you like in Baby Reindeer.
Yeah, that would be so sad.
Could only be so lucky.
That would be so sad if that happened to you.
I'm actually obsessed with how Baby Reindeer has become a shorthand term. I feel like a lot of people I've heard be like, they're going to like Baby Reindeer me. Like,
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I am like, oh, we needed that word.
Yeah. Well, because we needed something fun to be for stalking.
Yeah.
I sort of appreciate, I feel fine about Baby Reindeer. I don't hate it. I don't think it's a masterpiece. I watched it, whatever. I do like that it sort of put doing a solo show on the map.
Oh my God.
I'm like,
Call
people
the
need
cops.
to know what this is.
Call the people in New York and tell them to pull the plug on George right now.
I
I actually think we needed representation of what it is to go to Fringe.
You know what I think Baby Reindeer did is like a weird guy, solo performer.
Oh,
Yeah, we need more of that.
Yeah, I've never seen one. I've seen a lot of weird guys in my life. I've seen, but I'm always
None
like,
like
It's a type of weird guy that has never been represented.
yeah, and I'm always like, can you stop? Like, I'm like, can you cut it out?
Well, because the weird guys are usually very self-indulgent, and this person in the series isn't self-indulgent.
Yeah, he's like weird guy, and there's something behind it, and so I'm like, okay, cool.
I do want to push back on him not being self-indulgent.
I mean, obviously, all of us are, but this person at least shows to me, a lot of the stories are like, look how hard this shit was. And
Sure.
he shows the complexity of like, I was also complicit, but also my trauma made me complicit. Also, I'm responsible for taking care of it was like, I felt like
Yeah,
they were
no,
layers.
I like
No,
it.
yes, I liked it too. I thought it was pretty brave of him to show what.
No, keep going. We're
No,
laughing.
it was just, we're laughing at like the way it feels like we're like, yeah, no, I love
We're
it.
fighting.
I love
We're
it.
all
Yeah,
fighting.
yeah.
But keep
No,
going.
I did like it. I thought it was brave of him to show how fully he bombed every time he got on stage.
Yeah, that was
that.
fun.
That was
fun.
very fun.
That was.
I was confused though, can I say, when I was speaking about with other people about it, when I was like, oh yeah, it's clearly like he's traumatized, like he's like engaging with this woman, or like, I felt like we all understand, like at the very least, daddy issues, you know what I mean? Like where it's like someone might engage with weird people and need a validation because they're fucked up. But so many people I talked to were like, I had no idea. I thought it was just so weird. Tell her to go away. You know?
Totally. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
interesting the layers that people recognize versus ignore.
But say that though, because why?
Because why?
Sam,
Do I need to continue?
Sam, it seemed like you were shaking your iced drink as a way to clap, like as though you were like snapping at a spoken word poem. Wait,
No,
okay,
it just
this
was
is a
really
new
dark
thing.
on the bottom.
I just want to say we are pioneering this right now. When you're at a show and you want to clap and you're holding an iced drink, just clink your ice.
Mo, I want to take it back a few steps.
Yeah, let's take it
because
back.
we instantly forced you to promote.
And that was my fault, and I'm sorry.
No, can I tell you?
Yes.
I'm relieved. I don't have to think about it ever again.
And by the way, what is the podcast and the play called?
The play is called Worse Than You.
Yes.
And is directed by the beautiful Sudie Green, if we're aware.
Past guest.
In the community, past guest, funniest person alive. And the Sudie is not able to come to Scotland because she's, booked and blessed. So Sudie will co-host from afar, but the podcast is Worse Than You with Mo Fry Pasic. Produced by Lauren Mandel
Perfect.
and Erica Ghetto.
Okay, and now we're no longer mentioning either of those things. Sam, go.
Okay, now I want to take it back and say, would you like to engage with the thing that George would not at all about the running late?
Yeah, absolutely. It was
I
so
cannot
interesting
believe
to
we're
watch
still
happen.
on
Because
that.
George would not engage at all, and I refuse to let this just die.
I actually, this might be the whole brunt of the whole podcast.
I say this with love, but what I'm refusing to engage with is the idea that it is crazy to be in a car running late. Is that correct?
It's not crazy. It's just less glamorous.
Wait, so are you refusing? I thought you were refusing to engage because we had sort of teased that I was going to enter, and you were like, "Don't introduce a whole new thing." But you're saying because it's actual basis, you didn't like.
He's actually like, I don't like this. No, I knew that because George is actually not very time aware, and he does not care about that. George,
Wait, what do you mean I'm not time aware? Like I run late?
I'm so happy. Oh my God,
This
you're
is
going to not be
crazy.
depressed anymore.
We're
You're going to be
fighting.
angry. I can't
We're
wait.
fighting.
Wait, Sam, say more about me not being time aware.
George, you don't know you're not time aware?
Messy.
Wait, in
Can't
what
wait.
sense am I not time aware?
Do it, bitch. Say it. Say it.
Do you feel like I'm always running late?
No, it's more like when we're on stage,
Yeah.
like I'm the one that has to be like, okay, we got to wrap this up.
Okay, that is crazy because I'm the one that always is looking at my watch, and you
Yes.
force me, in fact, to be the one to keep time. So then I seem like I'm bored on stage because I'm the one wearing a watch.
Respond to that, Sam. George, really good point.
I just feel like so often you're like, let's keep going. And I'm like, no, we actually do have to go.
Hey, feelings are not
Okay, but this goes back to you. I'm sorry, but this goes back to you being a rule follower and, wanting a gold star from the teacher, whereas I'm punk rock. I'm sort of Baby Reindeer going to Fringe, bombing, but still going up every night and putting in my hours, whether or not a crazy woman is stalking me.
Well, I don't think it's following the rules. I think it's respecting the audience. I think it's respecting the guest time.
The audience that's there to see us.
Wow.
One thing that George and I differ on is I have radical empathy for our audience.
I understand
members.
that. Me too. And George, so
Well, by the way,
right?
my face, sometimes
George is like, you paid to be here. You're mine.
that's not okay, but you have to sort of like take a risk. Sometimes I'll start doing crowd work and I'll turn to Sam and he will look as though an animal is being slaughtered in front of me.
Wait, what kind of crowd work were you trying
I'll
to
literally
do?
be like, oh, I see you're eating a pretzel. Is it good?
Shut up.
That's
I did
funny.
say that.
To me, that's so funny. To me, that's subversive. It's way fun.
I'm sorry, but if we're performing at City Winery where everyone is eating a giant pretzel, I'm not
have to
allowed to
acknowledge
comment
it.
on that. Like this is
I think you're allowed to comment in a general sense.
Okay.
I just don't like pointing at one specific person in the front
Like,
row.
hey,
and
the
be
way your
like,
mouth's moving around
"Nice
that bread.
pretzel,
Yeah.
Here's what I think is like I'm to me it's going to be awkward at first. There are growing pains, and I want to get to a point where then I have a rapport with the audience. But
Of course.
you have
You're a
to first
groundbreaker.
get through. You have to first get through that initial awkwardness because of course no one wants to be talked to. Like. So at first it's awkward, and then you slowly start to
Listen.
build a rapport. There's
Like they say in Moneyball, the first person through a glass wall is gonna get a little bloody.
And Moneyball is what I base my comedic sensibility on, generally speaking. I think the Jonah Hill character especially is one of my biggest comedy influences other than the woman from Baby Reindeer. Notice I didn't say the man, I said the woman that's stalking him. She is my biggest comedic influence after Jonah Hill in Moneyball.
Timing, incredible.
No, she's iconic. Wow, I feel
That was cathartic.
That was complicated.
See, I'm obsessed with this because you know what feels better than depression? Anger.
Wait,
have
anger
s-
feels better than depression?
Yeah, because you have something to fight for. You have a sense of stability and right and entitlement to your feelings.
Oh, that's so interesting. To me, I'm like, I felt no anger whatsoever, and I was like, thank God we are engaging in play.
No, we're all really pissed here. Yeah. No, I'm doing a bit. Nobody's angry. We're having
Nobody's
the time of
angry.
our life. We're having the time of our life.
I genuinely am having the time of my life. I wish I could reach across the screen and give you both a hug. I feel like I'm back at the circuit party where I was on Saturday.
I feel like I giggle with my friends.
I wish we could confess more things about each other. Like,
Wait, that'll be the whole thing. Okay. Yes.
Okay, all right.
Well, let's begin.
Yes,
I'll
let's
start.
begin. Okay,
I'll start
go.
with several things. Well, first of all, I'm loving this sort of like identity shift the two of you are having
yeah.
because it's also like I can see it actually killing Sam.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and it's
not
also
right.
like it's like here's the thing. the flaw here is that there should be a shift, because it's actually George is being super hot and like shirt off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've seen the Close Friends. I'm like, oh, like you look incredible, and like, and so I'm going, great work. And Sam, that's Sam's like core being, and you know what I mean. And so it's like, no, we just need like, it's like the episode where on a sitcom where it's like, I did your job today, your job's hard. It's like, then they end, they're like, hey, how about we each take a little of the other?
Yes,
instead of
that's
the whole
exactly
thing.
it. That's exactly it. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think the only way we can work it out in the remix, so to speak,
Sure.
Sure.
is for us to like do something together, maybe like go on vacation together, and then push it in either direction. Have like one day where we are a little too professional, one day where we go a little
Wear
too
switch
hard.
clothes.
Yeah. And then we both come out sort of in the middle at the end.
For me, I do think there's something about like I need to maybe lean in to if George is going Sam, I need to lean more towards George.
Because George isn't family values.
No,
George is intellectualism, and you need
Yeah.
to lean towards that.
because like
And I think you are.
I mean I'm reading.
That's
Lord
what I was
knows I'm
that's what I was about to say. You're
Fam-
reading
English major.
English major, yes.
I mean,
think
I gotta start posting damn playbills, and then we're talking.
yes, you got to
know?
post playbills.
That's very George.
That's the final frontier of being me.
George. No Greek, no nothing. Just post a playbill.
Well, I'm not gonna start pretending to be Greek.
Yeah, you're not going to download Duolingo.
Babe, I don't know
for
the terry
God's
cloth.
sake.
To me, Greek terry cloth.
Starts walking in. Sam starts suddenly growing chest hair and having a cross.
God, I would give anything.
That would be an incredible experience.
Oh my God. I did want to be, there was like a full year where I was like, maybe I can pretend to be Italian, but
Cool.
Well, there are
How'd you execute that?
I'm trying to think if you could pull off being Italian. I mean, it's tough. I think you so perfectly are what you are. In a way that I've always been.
And say what he is.
I don't want to say I've been envious of it, but it's more like there's something comforting in the fact that your brand is strong.
Sure.
And maybe what you're struggling with is that it is expanding in ways that are both exciting but also scary because there are new unknowns that you are experiencing.
That's true.
George,
That's really smart.
even you saying that is like delivered in this soft sort of like circuit party shirt off way that I'm loving. That was so tender.
Well, what are you going to do? By the way, I'm on G.
See, my experience with Sam right now isn't like family values. It's like he walked in, it was like he has like nice dark wash hem jeans on, a terry cloth, and then I said incredible sunglasses. He hands them to me. I go, what are they? He doesn't even say it. As I'm reading MR, he goes, Marnie.
Oh, Mo, if you think we haven't spent an entire episode
Are you
talking
joking?
about Sam's
have covered-
Marnie
It's
sunglasses.
sick. Well, the experience is real, and
They were on sale.
you didn't act like you're on
shut
sale when you
up.
said Marnie.
That, by the way, you saying they were on sale is so me.
Yeah.
Me showing up with designer sunglasses and then without anyone asking me doing a whole song and dance about how they were on sale is like my
That's
entire
Sudi.
being.
That's why you're Sudi, 100%.
I am very God, this is like
Wow.
destabilizing, huh?
Wait, were you guys going to list
crazy.
more things about each other, though?
Well, should we say something about Mo?
I think we should say something about Mo.
It better be fucking good.
Mo, I want to say there's a new side of you that has come out during the promotion and conception of this play that I feel like is kind of a new chapter.
I love that. Go on.
I feel like it's the sense that you have this expansive energy
True.
that goes in so many different directions and you have chosen to focus it all on one thing. And there's something so powerful in that.
That is very sweet. I appreciate that. And it is true. I felt the impact of that and I maybe didn't realize because I do just enjoy doing a bunch of things. And then once it has been concentrated into something, I'm like, oh, like I feel that energy.
You know what the secret to life is? Concentrating.
It literally is. It's focus.
It's actually something that I've learned way too late in my life.
It's something I've learned it's simple focus because it's like, what's meditation? Focus.
Yes.
What's presence? Focus. It's
And you
all
actually, it's easy to think that actually the right way to live is to do a lot of different things and sort of, spread your gifts as much as you can wrong.
Seed spreader. And here's the hard part, but it's not bad because I used to push back at people who are like, do one thing. I'm like, well, that's capitalism talking. Like, I'm an artist. I have many mediums.
Sure.
But isn't doing many things capitalism? Because you're posting Instagram reels and doing a Substack and...
Not always. Not if it's like exploring, like, I think I see what you're saying, where it's like, if you want to do like, you know, a serious play and do stand-up, that should be allowed because you're not worried about branding as like, I'm a comedian.
Because many of people have been like, well, you're diluting your brand if you have a Substack, this. I'm like, well... I don't want to be brand driven.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I guess that's fair. Doing one thing is more brand driven. Doing many things is more, you know, I'm a complete person with many sides of my personality. This is interesting because it goes back to, we had a big debate with Theta Hamill about whether small is actually big and big is actually small.
It's context.
Yeah. And so now I'm like, is one thing more expansive than many things, or are many things more focused than one thing?
We're getting into Schrodinger's cat there, you know? We're getting a little quantum physics-y.
Schrodinger's brand.
Firing on all cylinders. I fucking love
Or are we
shit.
firing on one?
Oh my God.
I love my friends so much.
That was literally me at Pride. Just, I love my friends. I love my friends.
Sometimes I do, when you're talking about me being stupid, like I feel dumb. Like you guys will say something funny, Studio will say something funny. I'll be like, oh my God, all my friends are so freaking funny. Like,
yeah.
And I'm like the big dumb idiot.
That is not true, Mo. Do not say that about
I know
yourself.
it's not true.
Right.
I'm very funny. But it feels like
I know what you mean. I feel that way too sometimes. I've always liked that role. Like it's not where I actually am, but in my mind sometimes I'm like, I am the one that it like gets to be with all these funny people, and that's so exciting.
But how great! But it's also, it goes back to, you know, how like you'd never want to be the funniest or the smartest person in a room, because then it's like, where do you go
like
from
what
there?
My parents say, you never want to be the biggest house in the neighborhood.
I don't know about that. I think I actually would want to be the biggest house in the neighborhood.
No, because then you got a target on your back.
That neighborhood,
neighborhood,
Manhattan.
That baby was me.
Wait, I have something. Okay, wait, I have something. I want to go into a tale.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
And I want your guys' take on it.
I love this.
Wait, Sam, one question. Should we do our first segment before you go into the tale?
No.
Oh, maybe you're right.
Let's do it really quickly.
Okay, yeah.
Look who's a time queen now. How the tables keep turning, bitch.
How the timetables have turned. I'm quoting the
Damn, but okay, Mo, our first segment is called Straight Shooters, and in this segment we're going to ask you a series of rapid-fire questions, basically this thing or this other thing, to gauge your familiarity with and complicity in straight culture. The only rule is you can't ask any follow-up questions or we'll scream at you and give you something to be mad at us about.
Yeah. Mo, here we go. Pan-fried shrimp or Mo Fry Pasic?
That was so cool. Is that the first? It's not a question, but I'm just asking. Is that the first personalized one? Because it's going to be pan-fried shrimp.
Okay. You almost got away with asking a question there.
Yeah, that was a good question.
Stream of conscience. Stream of conscience.
Stream of conscience. Okay, Mo.
Is the song playing right now when people are listening?
Yeah, the song's playing now. Okay, Mo. Built Ford tough or 2 for suffs?
2 for suffs.
Okay, Mo. 365 party girl or 369 damn you fine, hoping she can sock it to me one more time?
Oh.
Wow. I didn't know those were the exact words for the second one. So
you know, I actually thought it was 369 damn good time. Am I crazy for thinking that?
Yeah. I thought it was too.
But I looked it up and it's damn you fine.
Well, you guys haven't had your hand plastered to a floor where your ass is rubbing on a hard little dickie at a dance floor when you're in the 6th grade. You know what I mean? You know that song.
You don't know our experience.
Yeah, you do not know my life, and you do not know what I did.
George and
at
Sam.
Pride.
There's a 6th grader plastered on the wall. They're just grinding. Okay, I only remembered the number 365, so I'm going to do the first one.
Okay, the bling ring or the Sting who sings?
The Sting who sings.
Every day is a winding road, or every gay is in grinding mode.
Oh. That one was really good, George.
Yeah.
And can I tell you something? That's the one I thought of last minute before we started recording.
And this is why we need to push ourselves.
Because
Yeah.
Sam pushed you a little bit. And
Sam pushed me.
that was
We were about to
incredible.
start recording. I said, Sam, I have 3. Can we just do like you do 4 and I'll do 3? And he said, just push yourself.
So just take a minute. Just push yourself.
When you say it, when you recount it like that, it actually sounds like I'm insane.
Well, not just that,
Sounds like
but
I'm
it's
like
also
the pushiest person on earth.
Like you had no emotion behind
Like
it.
to my friend to be like, how about you push yourself?
And that is literally what you said. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Like, it's one more. I can sit down and I can do it.
Just all the listeners, the tone was
context,
really there was
context,
the context,
But
really
also,
matters.
I mean, you're just proving. I'm sorry, but you're being so corporate. Like you're being
Oh
so.
my god!
You keep
Obsessed with this.
digging yourself into this hole. For me to
No.
be like, can I do 3? And for you to say, George, this is a professional. We're in a
Both of you
studio.
are right.
Just push
Both
yourself.
of you are right now.
But it's not corporate. It's just wanting us to be, hold ourselves to a standard.
Oh my God. This
Sorry.
is crazy.
Can
Both
you
of
hear
you
the
are right.
Can you hear the splashing?
Are you saying that he's...
Are you peeing right now?
I was peeing. No, I was filling my water.
Can I tell you, I literally thought George was like, got his phone out to like do a sting to be like, up shit creek without a paddle. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
it was going to be like a bit.
I actually almost did that for 369. I was gonna play the song, but
Come
yeah.
on, baby, give it to me.
Okay.
Well, it was Every Day is a Winding Road because I
course.
forgot what the second one was, but
Yeah.
I would have said that.
It's
had I
every
remembered.
gay is in grinding mode. Just
Then every
just
gay
so we're
is in
clear.
grinding mode. Yeah.
Okay, Mo. Information that's been classified or a face that's been yassified.
That's good.
Honey, what's the difference? Absolutely information that's been classified.
Yeah.
The Great Gatsby or the fate of ChatGPT?
Oh.
Well, the fate of Chat GPT.
Yes. Let's hope it's not a good one.
Oh, I mean,
Okay.
Okay, Sam. Time for yours. Oh wait.
Sam had one more.
Wait, I have one more.
Okay, I have one more.
Biden is old, or I love gold.
All right, I'm logging off.
I wrote in my notes, gold member voice.
Did you think you would forget?
When you wrote it, did you think about this moment?
I said, Sam, push yourself. I said, you don't love to do a voice, and it's going to be confusing, and George might look at you with disdain.
I
but it's
never look at
important.
you with disdain. I always celebrate when you take a creative
Mo,
risk.
fact check.
Can I see your face? Can we play the back face? Can we play that?
I feel like, and tell me if you don't feel this way. I feel like when I am like often, we of course push the limits of stupid, and the hope is
Yeah.
that we do horseshoe theory, so something is so stupid that it becomes smart. And sometimes when Sam
Wouldn't that
does,
be a circle?
okay, I guess we
Just
have a scientist in the building.
Every
Damn.
day is a winding road.
Every day is a winding circle, more like.
Whoa.
But I feel like when you do that often, I will lovingly kind of exaggerate an eye roll. But you know that comes from a place of love.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with us
course.
blurring the lines here.
And
You
not
know
just
what I
me.
mean?
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
never. I feel disdain for very few people.
First
Name 3.
and last.
Chuck Schumer,
Oh,
Katy Perry.
true.
Yeah, okay. Well, then that's pushing you back to the stand-up, huh?
Well,
And I guess
Say it. Don't flake on this.
Dax Shepard.
push yourself.
What'd you say?
Wait, who,
Dax
Dax Shepard.
Oh.
I think that's so smart for you to say because now you're
you.
involved in the podcast dynamic and people are going back and forth. Their audience is listening to you guys.
Yeah,
see what
yeah,
Dax
I would
That's-
says.
actually
that's
love
really
to start.
smart.
I would
That's
love
really
to start
smart.
a feud with Dax Shepard
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. HuffPo's picking this up, I heard.
Ariana herself.
All right. Well, Greek American icon, by the way.
And no one's talking about that.
So you have an in. Don't tell them
I have
that.
it in. Yeah. Well, she's on speed dial. I said Yasu. Okay, so Sam, tell your story. Wait, hold on.
Okay, well,
on a
I need to
scale
choose.
on a scale of 0 to, you haven't
Wait, she
chosen
hasn't
yet.
chosen.
because I'm sorry. What I just also need to comment on, it's not a question, is it's like it's you're using a quote from a character that is like not his primary quote. You know what I mean? Like it's like doing a fat bastard quote and then being
Does
like,
he not say I love gold?
yeah, he says I love gold. It's not like a canonical.
I want
you
to
know
say
what I mean?
I did not recognize the
I didn't
quote
either.
at all.
And I just watched Sam look at me, starting to cry, laughing, going, I love gold.
I genuinely was like, is this Gollum? Like, you also
my
started
God.
laughing like before you were even done doing the bit. I was like, what is he like? What is the?
It was exactly that. Me and George
Yeah.
were like, and it was so fun because I realized right before you said Goldmember, and when you did, you said it like, we all know, right? And it was like, no.
What would you say is Goldmember's primary quote?
Oh my God. Well, I
don't
think Fat
think-
Bastard is who you quote.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, but
Fat Bastard is who
if you're gonna quote Goldmember, you're gonna say I love gold.
She like string.
But
where he's like,
unfortunately, you
swing.
don't really quote Goldmember. I think the last
well,
thing
that's why
quotes.
it's iconic. Is
You
because
have to
no
say
one quotes Goldmember.
He says like,
Okay, I think there's a crisis on this podcast, and it is that we are too horseshoe pilled, where we always think the opposite is true. So you saying that's why it's iconic because no one quotes Goldmember.
I'm obsessed with
So
that.
something that is inherently non-iconic, something that
because
no one quotes, it
everything
then
is true,
becomes
but from what
iconic.
perspective are you looking at it?
Well, I mean, honestly, the true iconic thing, which I just haven't seen it, is to start quoting the Love Guru.
Well, I've already, but Sam, I did that last week. Remember?
I do remember.
The way I'm sorry, that sentence, that back and forth is crazy. you said a real thing, which is the way is to quote, was it Don't Mess with the Zohan?
The Love Guru.
No.
The Love Guru, that's what it is. You're like, the Love Guru. And George says, I did that last week. I said, oh my gosh, it's a little world.
This is the best episode ever.
I'm having time of my life.
I'm scared.
Okay, well, I'm
anyway.
going to choose, obviously, Sam's full eye contact,
Of
long
course.
impression.
Of course.
I love
I'm
gold.
cool. That was good. That was way good.
That was really
Now that
good.
we know who
I
it-
love gold.
Master Potter must not go back to Hogwarts this year. That's my go-to.
So no one knows Goldmember.
I have to
It's
say,
gold. It's gold. Remember
have
Beyonce?
yeah, it's the Beyonce one.
It's the Beyonce one.
Do an impression, George.
Yeah, of another
Of
Austin
Beyonce?
Powers.
Of Beyonce.
Isn't her name Foxy Cleopatra?
And
and
she's
I'm
a
a
whole lot of
lot
woman.
I do remember that.
So you can do it, George. Ready?
Yeah, this will be tasteful.
Sam, tell your
Zoom in.
story, please.
Oh yeah, the
I
tail.
can't believe we're going back to this.
We
But
need to rank Mo from a scale of 0 to 1,000.
Hot or not?
Mo, hot or not? I'm going to say hot.
hot.
Imagine
Actually,
you-
wait. No, that is what we're
physically-
doing. I've decided for this episode, instead of 0 to 1,000 doves, we're just doing hot or not, and your ranking is hot.
Yes. Yes.
You win.
Thank you.
Okay, Sam, go.
Okay. I guess what I was going to say, which feels so out of context and random now, is that... Okay, while I was celebrating family values at my parents' house, I went with my mom to a sandwich place, and we saw someone she's friends with.
I'm with her. Wait,
Still with her.
It's a sandwich shop in Hollywood.
No, something about her.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
And we went to, and my mom was like, I want to introduce you to my friend. And I was like, okay. And I was like, we actually had just finished recording our Patreon episode. And so my mom was like, here's Sam. He was just recording his podcast.
No, terrible mistake. Strike one.
I immediately shut down. I'm like, because then
Your body caves in on it. though.
truly.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, oh, and she was like, oh, what's your podcast about? And I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And then I was like, it's called StraightioLab, and
No.
it's like we do
Strike two.
It's like a comedy podcast about straight culture.
It is strike two. You should have just said like.
You are. I'm like, abort mission. I'm getting word from control. We need to airlift him out of there right now. A boat is coming. It's on Lake Michigan and a helicopter. The helicopter has your feet and the boat has your head. They're like, get him out whatever way you can.
He's laid down to a board sitting.
He's being lifted like that cow that gets
Yes.
Literally.
airlifted out.
From the science museum, the big T-Rex.
And then I tried to explain it, and then it obviously went horribly wrong. They looked at me like I was insane,
Yeah.
and then like started talking about something else, and then I slowly backed out. And like,
But you can't back out. You were done.
no, I literally slowly walked
physically
away.
back out.
And then
You were being Homer Simpson in the bush.
I was being Homer Simpson in the bush. And then we walk outside, and my mom goes, "You're so shy." I have a question.
Yeah,
This is a
please.
crazy experience.
How should I have handled this situation? What do you say to someone when there's no context?
Yeah. You call the
what you
ACLU.
do.
Right. You call the ACLU and you call
I was hate
ACLU,
crimed.
the DNC,
Yes.
and the GLAAD Awards Committee.
Committee.
And you say, we need a closed door meeting with President Joe Biden right now.
Right now. And then
And
you say,
by the
at
way,
them.
I'm not coming to you, you're coming to me. I will see you on the shores of Lake Michigan in 12 hours.
12, because it's going to take everyone.
Do you want to know my earnest answer, how I would
Yes,
answer that?
I do.
How
Here's
you
my
handle
earnest
the whole
answer.
situation?
I would say very simply, I would say, I'm a comedian in New York, and the podcast is like an interview podcast where we interview other comedians.
Oh, that's
No one would
really
ever ask a
smart.
follow-up question. You would move on, and then your mom can start, giving her own updates about work and life and the renovation.
Fuck, that's
so
so
funny.
smart.
The working life and the renovation, that's
Of course, the number one choice, if I had it my way, would be for your dear mom not to have mentioned the podcast at all. But once she did, that is, I think, the only way forward.
I find this so complicated because whenever I go to anyone that is not in our circles, I feel like I'm insane. And I'm like, is it me? Like, am I being Tina Fey going, like, remembering
Yes.
high school?
Yeah.
I know, Kelsey,
Like-
how about your mom's pill problem?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm sort of like, am I being like, they're never going to get it, so I'm not explaining it to them?
No.
But then whenever I try to explain it, I sound insane. So I'm like, oh yeah, I shouldn't have ever tried. And I feel like
You can try to explain it.
I think here's the thing that, because I've run up with this against the play a lot, because the play is like, it's about trauma, but it's funny, but it's about this. And then it's like, people are like, so it's a one woman show. I'm like, well, my gender's very fluid. Well, so it's a 1% show. No, it's a play. Well, and then you sit there and you're just like, well, am I like, shirking sort of categorization, or am I being obstinate? Should I just simplify this? And I think the stuff we do, right, it is hard to feel like you're reducing it for an elevator pitch for someone you're in conversation with. Here's where you should trust your gut, right?
yeah.
You know that, like, you're not judging this woman, but you can feel a vibe and be like,
Yeah.
we're not going to have a conversation about gay culture or straight culture.
Right.
But then what we do is we internalize it and we're like, well, I'm judging her, or I'm not saying it with my chest. And it's like, it's neither of them. Trust your gut in the situation. Just like what George is saying, like, have a shorthand. And if they want to inquire further, you can absolutely be like, well, it's kind of, it's silly but nuanced, but we do have bigger general conversations. But the thing is, I think we doubt ourselves in those moments and we're like, should I have done this? Should I have done that? It's like, you wanted to home your system and not have that conversation, and you didn't even bring it up. Your mom did,
Right.
I
You
think
also
he handled
ha-
it however.
You also have to think about someone who works in private equity and you meet them at a party. They are not going to go into the weeds of the work that they do. They're just going to say, I work in private equity.
But that's like what bothers me. I honestly am jealous of them, because if I had this conversation and my mom was like, Sam was just working private equity, then the woman would have just been like, awesome. Like,
Yeah.
good for you.
Yeah.
Like, there wouldn't be a question. There would just be like inherent respect. Whereas like when you're like, he was doing his podcast, it's like, so what's that all about?
But I think that has to do with art and creativity. Is people are
Right.
uncomfortable with gray area, with nuance, with that, and so people need you to say, I'm this or that, to feel comfortable processing it, or being like, I know that's good, I know that's bad.
Here's the other thing. Here's my other strategy, okay? The instinct, of course, because you want to justify your own work, is to go into the creative side of it. But actually, it's much more safe and relatable to talk about like the business and logistical side of it. So, for example, she says, what's your podcast? Sort of say something very quickly and then start being like, it's been hard recently because my co-host and I are in different cities. So the scheduling has been, really hard to. And then suddenly the conversation becomes about how hard it is to plan a Zoom meeting, and everyone can relate. I'm serious.
No, that's actually really smart. It's just funny how simple it is.
I think it's a bummer how simple it is,
Yeah.
honestly.
Because it's confusing because I'm not trying to be
Obstinate.
yeah, and I'm trying to treat people with like respect and be like
Yes.
they can hear this and make sense of it. Like, we don't live in some tower where we're like incredibly different than other people. And then but then I'm always like, but then we also are different than other people. So it's confusing.
Well, everyone's different. That's what makes America such an amazing melting pot. Mo, I want to know what your straight topic is and what you think is straight about
So fun. This is so fun. Okay, well, I feel like we always dance with this because I always think about. I laugh because you guys do say like big, small, and I think it is the perspective from which you're looking at it, right? Because anything can be anything. In or out of context is what we keep talking about, right? It's
anything can be anything in or out of context is, I would say, one of the great sentences that has been uttered on this podcast.
As I said, I didn't realize, and now I'm kind of like,
wait, that kind of, I'm thinking merch. And I'm not joking. Like anything can be anything in or out of context.
And what's going to be brilliant is it can't be on like a big base. Like it has to be on a hat. It has to be a big block text on a hat.
Yeah. Anything can be anything in or out of context.
Don't you think like big, okay, I agree with you, Mo, for comedic value, of course, on a hat. But then I'm also thinking streetwear, big block
down a leg.
Letters. Just like big oversized t-shirt. Anything can be anything in or out of context.
I love that. How do we want to shape it? No, this is like now the welcome to the new segment. Anything can be, in or out of context.
Anything can be anything in or out of context.
Wait, I'm sorry, but I'm kind of like, I can't move on from this because
we don't have to.
This to me is so the spirit of early episodes of the podcast. It's like, we used to make merch that said, it doesn't matter what your political beliefs are as long as you live out loud.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. And this feels very in conversation with that.
Oh, I love being in conversation.
When things are in conversation.
When like sentences are conversations. What? That's crazy.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, I also love anything can be anything in or out of context because it fully feels like you didn't know this part was coming and you're like, let's riff.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's so funny. No, I have a full list.
I mean, it is so funny to be. So what's your straight topic? And you're like, oh fuck. Well, anything can be anything in or out of context.
I turn into the love guru.
I love context.
Old gold.
I love gold. You guys know it. That's the only thing he says.
Wait, don't you think anything can be anything in or out of context?
In or out of context.
Also sounds like a Kamala-ism. You know how...
absolutely.
It's very...
it exists all with which came before you.
Here's what's meta about it. The phrase itself, we can make anything. Because I can go anything, Kamala style, right? Can't do it. Shouldn't do an impression.
No, I see what you're saying, though. Depending on what you can either stress the first anything, the second anything, you can stress in or out, or you can stress context.
Context, yes, 100%.
And actually, depending on what you stress...
Meaning changes.
Meaning changes, and you have a completely different, like, political outlook. You have a completely different subjectivity.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, this should be an acting exercise. You should show up to your acting class.
Yeah.
And today's lesson is anything can be anything in or out of context. And you have to say it over and over and over, and you have to perform it in different ways.
Until finally, ready? It's like an hour in, and I really break, and you feel it. I go...
You're crying.
I go, anything can be anything in or out of context.
Chills.
Incredible. Booked.
The teacher.
Booked. The teacher. That is what we want.
Now that is acting.
Damn.
Oh. I fucked the cutest guy.
I thought you were like, I fucked the professor.
No, not in LA.
No, maybe in New York, but in LA there's so much traffic.
In New York, been there, done that.
In LA, it's so corporate. You can't even fuck the professor. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, seriously. A professor in LA? A professor of what? Smoothies? Please.
Woo! Wow.
Professor of grain bowls? Professor of the reboot of Melrose Place? I don't think so. Okay, Mo. Mo, we have approximately 45 seconds left. What is your straight
Time guru. Time guru.
I'm having time of my life. Oh, it's almost 11:11.
Wait, what's time guru? Is that just a...
That's a new...
That's what
you
new
created.
Okay, time guru.
Whoever's calling out the time.
Time guru is someone who has like a natural, effortless relationship to time, which, as we have established, I used to not have, but now I do.
Yeah, I feel like any artist is neurodivergent and does not know time.
Well, I actually feel, George, to be completely honest, I feel like I've been trying to pay less attention to the time because I feel like in the first half of our podcast run, I was very aware of time, and now I'm trying to be more like, you know what? C'est la vie.
Messy artist. We can clean it up in the edit.
Yeah. Okay. And would you say I'm going in the opposite direction? Once again, we are.
I think it's possible. I mean, in this episode, I do think yes, but I do think in general.
You in general, no.
In general, you were up till 6 a.m.
Yeah. In general, none of us is the time guru, but in this episode, you are the time guru.
Thank you.
None of us are real. Creative. Like, I'm sorry, if you're on mic, you're not a time guru in real life. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't know how to make anything.
No, God, no.
No. So Mo, please.
Okay,
tell
I'll
us.
list off some shit.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, it is 11:11. Party rock. Okay.
Whoa.
Okay, so I was getting a lot of bullshit and annoying texts to my phone, and I was having to deal with a lot of shit. So I said, I want to look at my phone and enjoy myself. So I put Tom Selleck in a tiny little.
Hot.
Yeah.
Because it flashed, and I was like, that's so hot.
Yeah.
Wait, Tom Selleck is your phone background?
I all of a sudden got thrown on my Explore page into like Magnum PI, like him, like TikTok, not TikTok, but like Explore. And all of a sudden I was like, this giant hairy man in big tiny short shorts. I was like, fuck. And it's so hot. And so I made him my background.
No. He is
Anyways.
one of the. Have you seen In and Out? So In and Out, Kevin Kline plays.
I don't know why.
I love George. I'm sorry. The moment you said that, Mo and I sort of connected as if we were about to revolt against you and almost tell you that movie didn't exist. Like there was something
We were
where
both
we were
ready
like,
to gaslight
so mad.
you. It was like,
We were like, look, we both haven't seen it. It's not
Okay,
real.
you know what? There's no time. The point is,
We were convinced. There was a moment where we connected.
we both
and we were
head
going
tilted
to,
and then up. And then it was ready. We felt ourselves ready to turn to you on the screen to go,
and be
fuck
like,
you.
Wrong. That is crazy.
okay, Tom Selleck plays the gay love interest. Young Tom Selleck, mustache, very hot. That's all I wanted to say. Sam, you would absolutely.
Wait, this would really do it.
Yeah, Sam. Actually, I think Sam, this might be what you need to snap back into your old self.
Actually, though,
is to watch horny Tom Selleck in the movie In and Out.
And it's called In and Out.
This sounds great.
Yeah, it's about. I can't even get into it. It's with Kevin Kline, Joan Cusack, I believe, was nominated for an Oscar for it. It's like,
Whoa.
yeah. It's
Sorry.
yeah.
You just made it so legitimate. I got scared because
No,
before
I
it was
got
like
scared
B movie, and then
It was
whoa,
like,
legitimacy.
It's like if like in Buffy where it's like Dawn all of a sudden is like dropped in season 4 and she's always existed, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like Sam and I are dropped into the reality where this movie's always existed.
And it's like beloved.
Yeah, we're like, what?
Well, I also whenever someone's telling you, oh, have you ever like met someone or someone's been talking about someone, you're like, you might know them. They like do comedy.
600 friends in common with everybody you know.
Yeah, and you're like, yes.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know them, and then you look them up, and they're like best friends with everyone you know. And
Yeah,
you're like, wow.
totally.
And they're like, we've been hanging out every weekend. And you're like, no, you haven't.
Yeah. Anyway, Mo, what are your straight topics? Do you think we'll ever? Maybe we don't get to it.
No, we have to. We have to.
I can do, okay, well, I had a few things. Okay,
Okay.
so now the whole bit is just they're going to be funny to say.
Yeah.
Which is valid. Like saying I love gold.
2 new seconds for you guys.
anything
I love
can be
gold,
anything.
And then anything
In
can be
or
anything.
out of context.
In or out. Okay, my new thing. Oh, never mind. Okay, that is a journal entry. Okay. So, morality. I think that's very straight.
Oh,
Needing
that's
a
interesting.
Needing a code of black and white ethics to guide yourself by, because otherwise you'll cause harm. Sounds
Exactly,
very-
like it doesn't come from within.
like
you
it
need a
written
you need a
down.
rule. It's like
Yeah,
the Ten
totally.
Commandments. The idea that you before every choice you're like, fuck, wait, let me check if it violates the Ten Commandments.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
like, babe. Okay, and then I'll keep going. So I'm just going to read it. The ends justifying the means. The ends. By any means necessary. Force, however you identify that. Doubt, comma, are you sure? Shame.
Oh.
Verbal communication at all.
Wait, can you explain that one a little more?
Yeah.
Verbal communication.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. To me, it's like so like say what you mean in the way that I understand it, where it's like you and I turn to each other. We've communicated so much. We understand
Yeah.
the flow of
with
like
just one look.
with one look,
Yeah.
body language, we can read a room, we can see someone's uncomfortable. And it's very straight and patriarchal and capitalist to be like, you need to have that in writing or say this, write this.
Right.
Wait, I
Like, why didn't
actually-
you just say that? If you were upset, why didn't you just say it?
Like I was
I'm
crying.
making an executive decision. That is our topic, I think. Because
You guys don't want to know which friend you are?
wait,
Wait, okay, you can keep going.
you
but
can
I do
keep
wanna
going, but
maybe
I
do
think
this.
verbal communication is the one. Okay, keep
I
going.
think it is, but the last one was personality test, comma, which friend are you?
Totally,
Oh,
100%.
that's
I mean,
good.
it goes
That's
back. That honestly goes back to the Ten Commandments.
I was gonna say the same thing. You're kind of working for
Everything is
around a
everything
theme.
in and out of
Everything is
context.
everything.
Anything is everything.
Anything is, yes. God.
Anything is anything in or out of context. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
You can't trust me to know
Anything
what I
is
said.
anything in or out of anything can be anything in or out of
Yeah.
context.
Oh.
Okay, so verbal communication.
Verbal communication.
Well, I love the idea. I mean, it is truly genius to be like, you know, in an ideal world, everyone should be able to communicate with, I'm sorry to use this cliche word, but with vibes. Like, it's like, you know, a look, a gesture, body language. Energy, you know, it's called being in sync with your environment. It's called being one with nature, one with your surroundings, one with your fellow humans. And as soon as you start speaking or writing things down, it is a downhill path.
Yes.
Yeah. It also is like the way that I've been realizing this recently in this thing kind of before where it's like, are we unique or are we not? Where I'm like, oh, there are people that can't read people.
Yeah,
and that
I didn't know
actually
that.
really scares me.
The play is really like illuminated a lot of the way I mentally process. And like I assumed everyone was kind of doing things the same way in their heads. And it's like, no.
No, not at all.
And then I had the opportunity because Sudi's close to be like, she'd be like, you know, do it more powerfully. And I do what I perceived the word power to be.
Yeah.
But then I would not get it, and she'd be like, "That's not it." I'd be like, "What does power mean to you? Can you give me some references of what?" And it was something completely different, because these words to us mean one thing. So then it's like we're not talking about the essence or the feeling of something. We're just assuming everyone else knows what that word or experience means to it.
And this is the false promise of language: is that its goal is to make things more specific, but in fact, it only causes more confusion because it makes everyone conform to one meaning that is defined by the hegemony. Like that, the word power can mean different things to different people, but everyone has to fall in line as soon as the president decides what it means.
But actually, that's genius. It is that.
I also think the way that verbal communication is also like in the moment makes sense. Like you're like, I'm verbally communicating because I have to, and you get it, you get what I'm saying. But then when people try to use it as proof, I do think people try to take verbal communication out of context and be like, this proves that they believe this or they and it's like, no, you don't be like that.
It's so easily manipulated. I want to use an example, but I don't know the world enough to know if this is like causing a stir. But I watched the Vanderpump reunion, and after I saw the Tom Sandoval thing in the news. I didn't watch any of it, but it was so funny because someone was like, he compared himself to the war in Ukraine.
Oh,
and George
totally.
Yeah. And it's like, you guys are manipulating words so bad. You're making this shitty guy look awesome. Because he was like, no, I just said there was like large movements and my name was next to them in the news.
He literally was saying like, my name, it actually made complete sense what he was saying.
It made complete sense.
He was saying like, isn't it crazy that I, Tom Sandoval, one of the most truly merp people that has ever lived, is in the pages of the New York Times next to stories about Ukraine. And by the way, guess who comes out looking bad in that story? The New York Times, not Tom Sandoval. Ukraine. And then the headline became, he like thinks he's as important as Ukraine.
Yes.
Are you people listening to yourselves?
But that's the word, right? It's like we can use it for our needs, and we can intentionally or unintentionally misunderstand, and that's an intentional misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
verbal communication. Whew. There's so much there.
Well, okay, here's a theory I have.
Yeah.
Now I'm going biblical.
Please.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, because it's like we like to pretend like we weren't all forced into like some sort of religion, you know, and so know a basic of these stories. But honey, it was everywhere. If you're in America, it was awful. Sorry, George, but you were in a pretty
it was
Christian
really
country.
Amazing where I was, and I have no trauma from it.
You're like, there's no dogmatic systems or institutions.
No, Greece is really progressive. So what? So
I think the Tower of Babel is this story in the Old Testament.
Oh my God,
and it's
perfect. Wow, I'm so glad you brought this up. I mean, talk about language. Okay, go on.
You sparked it. Yes, when you were saying the idea that it's to bring us together, because this idea is all these people in this town wanted to build a tower to heaven to reach God. And so what God did in the story was made all of them speak different languages so they could never connect.
Yes.
And work together to build the tower to heaven. But I hear that and I go, from a queer perspective, I go, oh my gosh, what a concentration of communication. What an opportunity, because I don't have words, to come together beyond words, to connect, so we realize that quote unquote God, heaven, is actually the connection, the communication. It is nothing to do with this build high.
Guess what? Verbal communication is a punishment from God.
That's exactly what I was getting at. That's genius. Wait, with your hands clawing the armchair, I need that soundbite of verbal communication is a punishment from God.
Mic drop.
You pour the water all over the electrical.
George, I'm so grateful for you to be there for that moment, because honestly, whenever I start hearing about church, my mind is like, what is up with me now?
Is it trauma?
I don't know. It's
wait,
not trauma.
What do you mean?
It's like more like habit. Like, it's like when someone starts talking about anything church, I go, I'm out. Like,
you just like are not interested.
I can't engage with it at all. Like, even when people are like, it's actually really interesting. Like,
it's not.
It's actually like a soap opera. I'm always like, okay, but I'm
giving
bored.
Teen youth magazine.
I have always noticed that about you. Like, I remember I had this phase where I was like, really, you might remember this, very desperate for places of congregation that are not commerce-based. And I was like, maybe the solution is for all of us to go back to church. And I just remember you would look at me completely blankly. Like, you'd just be like, no.
There's something I just like cannot do any part of it. And even like I understand that there's like the stories from the Bible have like, you know, are just social things that people understand.
I mean, they're on all faiths.
They're
right?
iconic.
Like
I mean, they're like the gold member of their time.
They love gold. I mean, the Pharisees. What is it? I wish I had a reference for that. Damn it.
I understand that there's a direct line from the Bible to gold member.
Sure.
But I still am like, you know what? I'll just take gold member. Thanks. You know,
sure.
I don't need to know what it's based on.
Here's a question for you. All right. Do you think this has to do with the Bible and religion, or do you think it has to do with a general disinterest in like super old things?
I think it is specifically the Bible.
You think so? Okay. So you would be more interested in like, let's say Greek mythology or things that are old.
I think Greek mythology is juicy.
Okay.
You know, I find Shakespeare interesting.
Okay. I
just don't. The Bible, as soon as people start talking about when I hear the word the Bible, like in the Bible, my brain shuts off.
Wow, that's fascinating.
But I can see that from you specifically, because I think you have a sensitivity as an artist to like theme, and like you're like, I can get this theme a better way. It could be more fun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I know what it is, Sam. It's like, it's your complete, and I think this is one of the best things about you, your complete allergic reaction to anything like hack. And I think that I think the Bible is so basic, it's so groundwork that you're like, yeah, we've heard it all. Like,
there's no subversion in the storytelling.
Give me something new.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. I hope that's true. That would be an awesome compliment.
I want the end. I want the end of the next 45 minutes of me and George to be pitching what we think it might be, and to end in Sam being like, "Okay, so here's this bad thing that happened."
No, it's nothing. I don't even have that much church trauma. Like, we didn't go to church that much as I was growing up, so I don't really know what it is. But I love that theory. I
mean, do you think it's because you didn't go that much that you think you don't know as much about it as you're supposed to, so then you feel embarrassed about that or something?
Pitching, I love this.
Pitching, yeah.
No, maybe there's something about like, I don't feel like I have ownership over it. Like, I can't comment. I do feel uneducated in it, so I'm like, let's just not talk about it. But I also feel like it's so weighted that even playfully talking about it, I feel like I'll step in something that I didn't understand.
You don't know it well enough to satirize it with an eye towards specificity.
Yeah.
Ooh. That was well said.
Thank you. And so...
It was.
And there's so much talk around it that what are you going to do, weigh in and say something not iconoclastic? That would be insane.
That would be so sad.
That would be so stupid if you didn't say anything can be anything in or out of context. It'd be stupid if you weren't.
That would be insane.
But I also think I understand that completely too, though, because I have I am obsessed with spirituality. I love my like sort of relationship with the unknown. And you do, when you speak about that, have to be like, God, spirit, universe, whatever you call it. If you have trauma, you have to like spend 45 minutes being like, can you receive this in a way that isn't through the lens of everything bad you've experienced?
Yeah. Can you, through the lens of everything that came before you and everything, what is the Kamala quote? Through the lens of all that you live in. Damn, people are going to write in.
God.
Everything is everything.
Anything can be anything in or out of context.
Okay. All right. Well.
Okay.
We tell us our
so
stories
verbal
in our
communication. I also, the way that, in the similar thing to like the look, like there's so many ways to communicate via, like this kind of goes back to my story, I feel, where there's like, you can communicate through like, music or like dance.
Fashion.
Say it with your chest.
There's a lot of different ways to
say it dead serious.
I can't.
I know.
Sam, don't hide behind this semi-ironic veneer. Say it with your chest. You can communicate through fashion and painting.
You literally can. And I know that this sounds so insane, and so
it doesn't.
I can
That's why I'm laughing at you.
Smart.
I'm laughing because
here's some. Sorry, go ahead, Mo.
No, I'm just, all of us are like self-aware enough to know that like a person having this real conversation with someone is boring. So it is fun to giggle and be like, this is insane, but my fashion tells you who I am.
But I actually, yes, but I also, all right, hear me out here.
Yeah.
The issue with verbal communication is thinking that it is a more direct communication.
That's literally what I mean.
Like, I'm not ready to give up on words because, in fact, I actually think if you just look at writing and speaking as an art form akin to painting or fashion, then it opens up so much. I mean, I would never, this is not, I think saying verbal communication is straight is not an anti-reading stance or an anti-talking stance. It's merely
anti-word supremacy.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's anti-word supremacy.
In my brain, I did, because I think of words, I said AUNTIE, anti-words. Please welcome to the stage.
Because can you imagine if, in the way that words have been adopted by sort of straight-coded, like reason-pilled man, masculine sensibility, okay? Imagine if that happened with painting, and if there were just like really like muscular conservative men that were just like angrily painting and being like, this is why taxes should be higher or lower.
I'm upset. You're creating a world I'm obsessed with.
This is kind of the premise of like a Legally Blonde, where it's like her fashion knowledge should hold up in a court of law. Yeah. But
it's intuition. It's intuition. And we invalidate it because that's a very feminine way of communicating, quote unquote, not associated with gender, but oh, I'm obsessed with in this world. Imagine if on the floor, what is that turtle guy's name? Mitch McConnell. Imagine if he had to go and point to something he painted. I couldn't say a single word.
Yeah. That's that's my challenge for Mitch McConnell. Say something without saying something for once.
I am floored.
A painting in a court of law?
A painting. Mitch McConnell has to paint.
Wow.
That's actually punitive in many ways.
I mean,
I dated this guy briefly who like was artistic and sensitive, but like I think had squashed it down for so many years that he said this one time, he was like, yeah, I'm working on this like script where it's about a detective who like had a very specific disability that made him able to be good at stuff. I go, oh, are you that? He goes, why would you ask that? I go, I don't know, because your art's about it. And you're like, well, how would you know to ask that? I was like, huh. And I feel like that's a conversation with so many people these days, where they're like, how did you perceive anything about me before I said a word? And you're like, I don't know, because you're wearing a shirt that says, like, I love this band. Like, so I'm going to ask if you love this band. What?
Yeah, that is really funny.
Okay, I'm sorry to say this, but I think we might have to do our last segment.
Oh my God, you're being time guru.
I'm pissed off.
I mean, you
have somewhere to be today.
Well, but not only that, we're holding hostage people in 2 different studios.
No, you have somewhere to be today. Don't lie.
Excuse me. I'm being professional and respectful of people's time.
Oh, wait. Yeah.
Okay, George, can I tell you one? I have a confession.
Okay, what is it? Oh my God, you're both in sunglasses. Jesus Christ.
I can't get them on.
Come on. Oh my God, this is humiliating.
Okay.
George.
This is the most sketch comedy bullshit I've ever seen in my life. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I have to tell you something. The reason I'm sensitive about the time guru status Someone on, okay, this is insane. Ready?
No.
Someone on Spotify left a review comment thing that was like, this really called me out and was like, Sam is always in a rush. Sam is always in a rush and ready to wrap it up.
They're projecting.
And does he even want to be there anymore? And I was like, what the fuck? And it actually pissed me off, and I've been unable to shake it.
That is crazy.
And I also don't think it's true.
No, it's not true.
But that's why I'm sensitive to Time Guru.
You cannot read Spotify reviews.
I love that vulnerability.
Thank you.
And it's giving Big Daddy, like you put the sunglasses on to be able to say that.
No, I take them off.
You put on the sunglasses of truth.
Yeah.
It's giving Big Daddy. Unbelievable.
I think that person was projecting because they also probably want to spend time with you, or maybe identify as, George and are protective of George in some way.
Sure.
I've never felt that you're in a rush. In fact, I understand that we now are in this
In fact,
are in this mythology where we each have clearly defined roles when it comes to being time guru. But I've always felt pretty like that it's been pretty naturally back and forth.
No, I agree.
I like the idea that if this podcast stops recording, like we create sort of a myth around you guys where it's like at a party, like both of you are like none of these identities. Like at a party, if I'm speaking to either of you, it's like
Wait, that's really smart.
Yeah.
No, but it is true also. I was like,
it's so
one
true.
thing I was thinking during my incredible Pride weekend was I was sort of like, I am not in all these conversations I'm having, I'm not being especially funny or interesting, but it sort of doesn't matter because I'm just in this sea of identical gay men.
That's so funny. You're being taken care of by anonymity.
Like my role is just to we're literally just all doing the wave, and my role is when it's my turn to just put my hands up sort of half-heartedly.
I love that.
And maybe that's what I liked. Maybe that's what I liked about Pride. We also everyone looked exactly this. I can't describe to you how everyone was wearing a black tank top. I feel like maybe a few years ago when I was sort of like, so, I'm not like other girls, I'd be like, God, I can't believe everyone's being the same. And now I'm like, thank God, everyone's being the same.
I mean, talk about communication via fashion.
Literally.
But it's also talk about having such a strong sense of self that you find relief in the similarity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, when I went to Bears in Space 3 weeks ago, I was like, ooh, I'm wearing my outfit. And I showed up and literally everyone was wearing the exact same outfit.
Well,
And the mics, remember? Everybody wore a tank top to their,
That was funny.
Can I say, this is a real stretch and I'm so sorry. This is very much me being Tom Sandoval comparing myself to Ukraine, but here we go.
Yes.
This is something I also feel in the past, I'd say 6 months if I've gone to a few protests. I feel like my favorite part of being in a protest is not everyone's unique sign and unique perspective. It's being in a crowd of people where you almost lose yourself and are like, it feels good to be part of this big mass that is attempting to do something.
Completely.
I love
You know
that.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that's a very acute understanding of what grassroots organizing and what movements are, because a lot of people feel they individually need to be something, and it's like, no, you matter when you're a sum of the parts.
Yeah, and I actually don't like a witty sign. Go post that on Instagram.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
This is actually have some respect.
Well, it's also social media culture versus actual activism.
Yes, I am it's so liberating to be like, I am not a leader here. I am a follower and I am proud of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also think that's our role. You know what I mean? There are people whose lives are devoted to organizing, and we go to 6 protests a year. It's like
exactly.
There's many people who try and center themselves in those spaces,
yes.
and it's like no.
No, sweet tea.
Okay, we have to do our final segment. I'm sorry.
Okay, we have to do our final segment. Mo, our final segment is called Shout Outs, and in this segment we shout out in the style of 2001 TRL or radio shout out to your squad back home about anything that you enjoy. George, do you have one? So that was actually really hard because Mo was making mouthing as if saying what I was saying at me.
I did that with straight shooters too.
Yeah. I can do one. I can do one real quick.
Okay.
What's up, theater goers, playbill posters out there? I want to give a shout out to the actor Daniel Radcliffe. I want to say, as a former Harry Potter tween, as someone who has seen your face at this point for over half of my life, I am so proud of you for the man you have become. I just saw Daniel Radcliffe on Broadway last night in Merrily We Roll Along. Such a great actor, did a very passable American accent, great singer, an incredible stage presence despite your short stature, if we're being honest. I think has handled the J.K. Rowling thing incredibly well and navigated it with poise and with class. I believe he is such a sweet man who has made interesting artistic choices. I'm so proud that the defining kind of middle-brow childhood franchise of my generation has such a strong and talented leader at its helm. And I cannot wait for the rest of his career and for the things he will do in the spaces of the stage, the screen, and of course, activism.
I love that.
Powerful.
That was so.
That was a really
360.
that was actually very earnest.
Yeah, that was really good.
That was fully built. That was beautiful.
I have one. Okay, I had one, and I'm actually going to change it based on George's.
Okay.
I had to then do that too.
Okay. What is up, freaks, losers, and perverts around the globe? I was gonna shout out the teens in my town in Michigan that have, I feel the internet has shifted them and gotten to them in a way that I really do celebrate. When we were teens there, it was bad, but when you guys are teens there, it seems kind of fun. Okay, but the thing I'm actually gonna shout out based on George's shout out is Emma Watson.
No.
I watched the Bling
Mo,
Ring
just cut him in, cut him out.
I watched the Bling Ring, and I said, you know what? I like this performance. I
Wrong.
think she is.
You like that wig?
I love the wig. I think Emma Watson is, sure, she doesn't pop on the screen in the same way, but I think there's something there, and I am kind of like, you know what? It's hard to be Hermione Granger and move on, and not everyone can be Daniel damn Radcliffe. Some people are like, oh, she's kind of mean. I'm like, okay, that's good.
No,
she's allowed. Her childhood was taken from her by Harry Potter, and not everyone is going to be so tasteful, and I think she is sort of, maybe what a normal person would be like if they were cast as Hermione in one of the biggest franchises of all time. And Emma Watson, she's still out there, I think. I liked her in Little Women. I like Little Women. And I like the Bling Ring, and I think everyone has been kind of mean to her, and sure, there's some reasons why, but I think I celebrate her and give her a shout out. And so I don't regret this at all, and I never will.
Wow.
XOXO, Sam.
Woo! And to that, I want to say, in terms of Emma Watson's acting abilities, anything can be anything, in or out of context.
That is so fucking true. That's crazy. I'm sorry. It's so funny. For every 5 seconds, people be like, I love her. She doesn't pop on screen. I love her. Sure, people have the reason. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, Sam, that was the most like qualified.
Yeah. Like in my head, I'm
Shout
like, oh, maybe
out.
someone could send this to her and be like, Emma, they're still
No.
thinking. Like, it's
Do
like,
not
no,
show this to
everybody. No.
I think she was good. I liked her in the Bling Ring. I thought it was like
great.
an interesting. It's hard to tell, obviously, like what is like.
I want to rob.
I want to rob.
Here's the
I
thing
thought
with
it
the
was
Bling
so fun
Ring.
for her.
I agree. Of course, I think it's fun. I love the Bling Ring. Here's what makes me upset is imagine if it was Emma Roberts. How much better? I'm sorry. How much better?
But I think the character is. I think she was playing flop on purpose. Like the character is supposed to be kind of a loser, who's like never gonna go anywhere.
Right. Well,
And
it's very.
I felt like that really came through.
I think it is a British person's like idea of what a ditzy Californian American is, and in that sense, it's sort of like a fascinating anthropological study.
I think what's hard for her though is that like that was the first sort of iteration of quote unquote typecast for our generation, where it's like, how are you going to break free from this? Like Daniel Radcliffe was naked on stage with a horse. It's like,
I think it was a good decision for her to do that.
yes, and it's a high caliber. I mean, she's doing Sofia Coppola, like so. I think you're damned. But also, I always balk when someone's like, she's actually a bitch. I'm like, did she just say something directly? Like,
I definitely think she's allowed to be.
But I don't even think that's a bit. I think it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always think of her in Perks of Being a Wallflower saying, "Welcome to the island of misfit toys."
I remember now. Were
I
they in the
never saw
back of the
that
truck
movie.
in the commercial? They said that.
Okay, wait. I'm sorry to be time guru, but
I have to do mine.
yeah,
Sorry. Okay. Well, I was trying to think, and I listen. I'm unfortunately a huge Harry Potter person. I at one point had the second book memorized.
Whoa.
Neurodivergent child. But I'm not going to do that. There's plenty of time for that. So, okay, is my music started? No, not yet.
yes.
Well, it'll start whenever you know the vibe.
Okay. Hey, YouTube. Okay. So my thing is shout out to having friends who are very comfortable with me being obsessed with, and shout out to Sam and George, who I will constantly text and actually hold back a lot of times, and maybe not constantly text, but think about and being like, that joke you did from 20 years ago was so good. And I think about George's fedora about a Broadway actor Google tweet all the time. I sometimes, too many times, text Sam about tweets he did in 2015 about saying he was so hungover he could see time. And then all his Chobani tweets, which were like, Chobani lie over the ocean, Chobani lie over the sea, show me the Bonnie. And just shout out to my friends who, like, since day one are the funniest people I've ever met. And also, like, when I text them about Chekhov's butt plug, they're not like, chill, Mo. They're like, thank you. And you guys are the best. And I love you very much.
Aw.
Wow, that's so sweet.
That is so sweet, Mo. We love you too.
We love you too.
You know, our night on along the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Do you remember this?
Oh,
God.
I have not since then laughed that hard.
It's really difficult to describe. We were simply walking on the
Yes,
Hollywood
Andy.
Walk of Fame, and every time we would see a name, which is constantly, we would act as though we actually saw that. We would just be like,
We would scream,
As if we saw the
Ball.
Beatles.
and we'd be like, we love them.
Like, it was like, I'm sorry, I keep spiking this whole episode, but we would all three. It wasn't even like, are we going to do it again? It was everyone we're doing.
Well, it like
I
started
actually
as a
were-
bit and
I
then
think-
quickly became not a bit.
Yeah, and I think when we release this episode, I'm going to publish the photos of, because I have photos of us.
But yeah, our hands
kept
were in
taking
our hands were in
selfies.
Emma Watson.
Oh my
No.
God.
Yeah, remember George took a picture. Me and Sam went down. I was in Daniel's hand, and Sam was in Emma's hands at the theater, the Chinese theater.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
the big, literally anything can be
You think
anything,
in or out of context?
Okay, we have to. I'm
love you
so
guys,
late.
yes.
I
Love
love you
you.
so much.
Okay, sorry, George, for making you late.
This was the greatest day of my life. All right, bye, Mo. I love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.